Mr. Chairman, we're live.
Okay, welcome everyone in the audience and those on YouTube. Today is Wednesday, June 26th. We'll call this meeting to order. Before we start this meeting today and tomorrow and Friday is for the board of Equalization, which handles assessment appraisals or assessment concerns. At this time, before we start, please ask everyone to rise and follow me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone. There being no published agenda, we're going to get right into this. And today we're going to do a lot of the exempt parcels. So we will start right off with the first one, which is Deer Flat Free Methodist Church Incorporated.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize for interrupting you. Do you want to swear in the appraisers?
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Okay, thank you.
I have to kind of explain this first.
Understood.
This will allow 60 minutes has been allotted to hear the testimony and evidence on each matter. We may not make a decision today. The matter could be taken under advisement, or we may decide to make a decision. This hearing is being recorded, so it's important that only one person speak at a time. We have all the mics out. Yeah, we did. Please do not talk over another person so the recording can capture clearly what's being said. The time for questions to clarify issues for the board and is not to be used to be argumentative or make additional statements. Our objective today is to listen to the appellate's arguments, consider the evidence presented, and determine whether the original decision should be upheld or modified. With this time, I please ask everyone to rise and raise your right hand. Other hand, there you go. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, Doug, please note all that have taken the pledge.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, that is appraiser Noreen Allen, appraiser Justine Woody, appraiser Christy Hamilton, appraiser Jerry Montalbano, appraiser Jennifer Boyd, appraiser Craig Mann, appraiser Robert Beatty, assessor Sue Leeper. Is there anyone that I missed? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I think we're good. Okay, before we get into this first application, I will ask if anyone on this board has any ex parte or conflict of interest. I do not. And I do not. So at this time, is the appellate in the room?
He is not. Him and I talked over the phone, and I told him what I was going to present.
Okay.
And so he knows. I handed you his packet and then my packet. This one's fairly simple. So this is the Deer Flat Free Methodist Church, better known as Camp Cascade. The Board of County Commissioners had granted an exemption of 205 days. Rick Day filed an appeal on June 5th. I called Mr. Day, and he and I went over the calendar together because we had not had that opportunity prior to the written decision. And after visiting with him and recalculating the days that the camp was used for commercial use during 2023, I would like to request that the Board of Equalization modify the number of days to the following: exempt 280 days and commercial use 85 days. I broke it out for you, land and improvements, and then the total assessed value of $488,726 would be the total assessed value for 85 days of commercial use. And I would ask that the board modify his assessed value.
You know, Sue, you said you had a packet for each one of these applications.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I thought I gave it to you.
We don't have anything
So we
to
don't do
write on.
anything.
I apologize.
Some paper. And I absolutely can't read
I
this, so
apologize.
therefore I'm gonna go by yours.
I can barely read it.
Mr. Moffitt, will you pass a packet down to Neil? I've got a
almost
cord right
certainly do
here. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we, the Deer Flat Methodist Church Camp, we exempt 280 days and show 85 days commercial use that will be taxed.
Are those good enough? Just doing it that way, we don't have to show values or anything else as far as putting it in the record? These will all be amended to the record, right? Doug?
Yeah, I gave the clerk a copy of it, so he's got the numbers, just like you guys do.
Okay, I will second that motion.
And then we'll go in and have to, and
That's
after,
the only thing, my apologies for interrupting. Typically, we have that approve or denial form.
so on the exemption appeals, there's a different appeal form than what you're used to.
Okay.
And so they are able to go online. So this is their online submission of their packet with the appeal number on it.
Okay.
And then my packet that goes with it will have will have the numbers on it. And so the total assessed value is right here.
Will you assist our office with drafting them a letter, because we are going to be required to send them a letter what
Yes.
the Board of Equalization decision
Absolutely.
was, because they will have the opportunity to appeal.
Yes.
So if you would. Okay.
But usually, like Doug said, there's someplace for us to sign approved or denied. We're not
Right.
doing that anymore.
This is for the property tax exemption application, so.
Yes, so it's a little different. The appeal form is a
I
little.
guess if we could have, again, my apologies for interrupting, if we could have Mr. Oki explain what the process is in
Yeah.
notifying the.
Right. So, Mr. Chairman, you're required to provide your final decision in writing. That written decision is due on July 8th. So if you can get through all of the hearings, and then we can draft a written decision for each one of these hearings, and then you can reconvene, review the decision, make sure it's consistent with what your final decision was, and then we'll have a signature block for
Okay,
for
okay, so
each
there's
of
nothing on this one
for each of
that
the three boards.
I approved or denied it, that's all changed.
Yeah, we'll take care of that, but it's not going to be until July 8th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mr. Oki, is that just for the property tax exemption
Yes.
application?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Different process for the private residences.
what is that, private ones, is that kind of like what we used to do, or is that,
Yeah,
At the same.
that has signatures and all that stuff on it? Okay. We got a motion and a second to accept the appraiser recommendation and set the exemption for Deer Flat Methodist Church at exempt for 280 days and commercial for 85 days. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, and anything else you need from us before we move on?
I'm good.
And then I'm assuming you're gonna want these packets back.
Not really.
We'll just
You-
pile them up
Why
and-
why don't you keep them, because you guys are gonna have to go back over on July 8th and make sure before you sign anything that it's what you actually approved. So if you could keep them handy, that would be good.
Okay, so we're gonna move on then to the next property, which is the Episcopal Church, AKA Paradise Point.
Okay. So here is the appellant's packet and the respondent's packet.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the non-appearance, or do we have someone from,
No,
okay? What,
she's here.
you're here? Okay, and I'm sorry, I forgot your first name.
All right, my name's Megan Kittredge.
Megan, I need to have you raise your right hand Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you very much. The way this kind of works is you got 15 minutes, then the appraiser has 15 minutes, and then we'll deliberate after that. So I will, as you know, the law says you kind of have to prove your case, so I will turn it over to you.
Thank you much. My name is Megan Kittredge. I'm the camp director of Paradise Point Camp. We are a ministry of the Episcopal Church in Idaho, established in 1935 outside of McCall on the Payette Lake. We operate youth, family, and adult camps, as well as serving nonprofit and other groups. So this is our property here on your board here. We have 50.6 acres. Most of that acreage is shorefront and very, very rustic. So I'm here today to discuss two things. First is that per the Articles of Incorporation for the Protestant Episcopal Church, as included in your packet, one of the purposes for our incorporation is charitable work. That directly correlates to our service of nonprofit groups. So previously, this Board of Commissioners has granted exemption for all but 23 days of 2023's calendar year. 5 of those days we served nonprofit groups. So I'm here to appeal that because those nonprofit groups are directly related to our Articles of Incorporation of charitable work, that be included in our exemption. My second point to make here in front of you today is that as a member, as an Episcopal church, we welcome all folks. So there is no clear defined membership from the state of who is and who is not a member. Are you a member if you're on our newsletter? You step into a church one time. If you are baptized. If we have your baptism on record. So that foggy membership makes it more and more difficult for us to understand what we can do to ensure that we can continue to operate for another 90 years as a nonprofit that does not meet our financial needs and is directly supported by the greater Episcopal Church on an annual basis. For example, some other organizations that have been given additional exemption, like a golf course, they have a very clearly defined who is and is not a member, and they welcome non-members throughout their operation, charging them a higher fee. So my understanding is that how the law has been applied for the year of 2023, that it needs to be exclusively members. So I'm unsure how an organization that charges a non-member fee is fully exempt, while an organization that does not differentiate is not exempt. And I understand that that membership question might be something that you would like defined by the legislature and not yourselves. So that is why I'm here to further appeal and get a better understanding of who is not a member and how our nonprofit service directly correlates to our ministry of charitable work as the Episcopal Church in Idaho. I don't have much more to say, and I apologize for not preparing. I wasn't sure I had 15 minutes.
Great.
But I can answer any questions you might have. And I'm happy to answer any questions on the information that was submitted.
Great, Megan. I guess my one question is, do you guys have a website?
Yes.
And on your website, do you advertise as a wedding venue?
Yes, a wedding is pardon me, I'm not clergy, a sacrament of the Episcopal Church in Idaho, and we recognize weddings of different denominations.
But she's falling under the charity exemption, correct? me if I'm
No,
wrong.
the religious,
Oh,
602B.
okay. Religious exemption. To be,
602B.
so to be. So when you have a wedding, do you ask these people what religion they're from?
So per our meeting in last year, when we reviewed the 2022 exemption, we added a statement into our reservation agreement that is a statement of faith, saying that people won't go against that statement of faith. And that was based on a recommendation from the commission from, I believe, Camp Pinewoods application and how they operated. No, we don't ask necessarily, but we have included that in our reservation agreements.
Any more questions for the applicant? If not, I'll let the appraiser.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So does Paradise Point have a permit for weddings and other events through the county?
I do not know if we do or not. I don't want to speak out of turn.
Okay.
Our bishop, who functions as our executive director, is at our church's general convention this month. But that would be above. I work with the kids. I'm a camp director.
Thank you
But-
for all you do, by the way.
Yes.
But I would love to bring that back to our office and see if that is something that we have.
Okay.
Sounds like that might be a requirement.
Well, everybody else has to have a permit if they're a wedding venue or, if they do corporate retreats. You're supposed to have one. So that's something you would want to discuss with planning or whomever.
Any more questions from either side?
No, I'm good.
So Sue, I'm trying to find your recommendation is the last paragraph.
Can I give my presentation?
Sure.
Okay.
That's
So as you know, the property is located at 2755 East Side Drive in McCall. The property is better known as Paradise Point. The commissioners granted an exemption for 342 days. And they determined that 23 days were the camp was used for commercial use. So I have included in my presentation that I gave to you guys, Idaho Code 63-602B. It states that the property must be used exclusively, and if it is leased to someone else, that the business or commercial purpose from which a revenue is derived, the assessor is to place a value on that portion. So with 23 days being determined as a commercial use, I took the entire land value, divided it by 365 days, got a per day value, and then multiplied that by 23 days, and I did the same for the improvements. We are given guidance by the State Tax Commission through IDAPA rules. So I have put that on your letter as well, that gives us direction on how to value. And so if we're doing it by the calendar year, IDAPA identifies how we are to do that. And so I followed the IDAPA rules. I also included the entire IDAPA right out of Tax Commission's book. I have also included the Sawtooth Valley Chapel versus Custer County BTA decision from 2022. If you are able to review the highlighted areas, they state in the BTA decision, there's two qualifying criterias: that the property must belong to a religious organization, and that the property is used exclusively for religious, educational, or recreational purposes of the owner of the property. It also states they must apply and qualify each year. It also states that renting a venue to a religious organization, to another religious organization, is not itself a religious purpose or use. It becomes a commercial use if the owner isn't using the property. They're very clear that it must be used exclusively for and in connection with any combination of religious, educational, and recreational purposes of such religious organization, corporation, etc. The statute unequivocally states the property must be used in furtherance of the owner's religious purpose, not those of another religious organization. And it is also stated in the BTA decision that the burden is on the claimant to establish clearly a right to the exemption, and it must be in terms so specific and certain as to leave no room for doubt.
And I really think that's kind of the difference between this year and the past, is that they changed the code. And
I don't believe the code has changed.
The code
more,
didn't
so-
change. We
Interpretation of the code
Yeah,
changed for the court.
correct, and it's based off of the state BTA decision
Mhm.
is what we've been looking for guidance as well. And so when that BTA decision came through, that helped give us guidance on what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable.
Honestly, I'm surprised that there's only 23 commercial use days. So were those 23 days specific to a wedding, or, I mean, because, you know, you guys you rent to everyone. And so I'm surprised. So those 342 days, what I'm hearing is they either didn't have a camp going on there, or it was used specifically for the Episcopal Church.
So we went over the calendar together, and as we went through each event on the calendar, Megan let us know if it was a use for Paradise, the owner of Paradise Point, or if they rented the property to another organization. And so we determined that 23 of those days when we met, that the property was rented to another organization. So we keep getting the question, you know, what's the process used to determine the exemption for 63-602B exemption? And so in your packet, it looks like this. There's two criteria. The applicant must be owned by a qualifying organization, which Paradise Point is, and the property is used exclusively for religious, educational, recreational purposes of the owner of the property. Property tax exemptions are strictly construed against the taxpayer, and the applicant must demonstrate a clear entitlement to the exemption claimed before it should be granted. We know that 342 days, they complied with that, and 23 days were determined that they rented to someone else. First of all, we look at the articles of incorporation to determine that it's a religious LLC or corporation. We check the deed to make sure that the property owner matches the applicant. That's step one. Step two, we determine if the property is used exclusively and for those purposes by the owner. Then we review the applicant's articles of incorporation and bylaws to determine what property owner's stated religious purpose is. The articles of incorporation of the organization will outline what the corporation or LLC's religious purpose is. Then we compare the organizational documents with the actual use of the property over the course of the prior year. And we went over the calendar, so we compare the calendar to their purpose. Of course, we review the answers that the applicant provided on their application. We calendar, then we go to their website and to see how the applicant is marketing the property. So the property tax exemptions are granted based on use of the property. So if the applicant is using the property to rent it out to another church, charitable organization, or secular group, we have to look at that as a commercial use. So we determine the days that it was rented to another religious organization, secular group, school, or government organization. And we recommended those as non-qualifying days for the exemption, considered a business or commercial use.
So you may want to use that microphone as much as you can, because
Can you not hear me?
it's not that, it's the recording. We have to have a
Oh, okay.
clear and precise recording for that.
So then we have the IDAPA rule that tells us how to calculate the use if it is a commercial use. If the property was idle and not used, we recommended that as an exempt days.
So Sue, on these ones that she showed on here that you have highlighted, the 23 days, any of those part of the Episcopal Church people or not?
So those were times when we served nonprofit groups, including school groups or other nonprofit organizations. That was 5 days, and the remainder were a combination of weddings and family reunions.
None of them were connected to the church.
I don't get information from reservations because previously we've not had to establish membership within the Episcopal Church. So I cannot confirm or deny if those folks were members. And that's a part of my wonder is, what does a member mean?
Okay, thank you.
So the next pages in the packet are all screenshots of their website. So you can see what they offer. And then we have the calendar that we went over. And that is it for my packet.
So let me follow up with a question. So when you're not determining membership, I would assume you're charging a fee
Yes, we charge fee for
for
all
members
use of
or
the
non.
property.
So when I was running a camp, if it was our member and having a wedding, we did not charge a fee if it was within our congregation.
So
That
because
might
we
be-
are an overnight operation that also offers food service, that would be very challenging.
Yeah, of course. And we understand that. The concern, I think for the general public is, in the past, we haven't been charging, it's just been a blanket exemption. And what's rising to the top is you guys compete against so many other venues. They're doing exactly the same thing you are. They're competing for that business also. So if you're not paying taxes, where is the equity for our community in that scenario? You're competing against non-religious organizations doing exactly the same work. And that's, I think, an unequitable situation as we move forward. And then also, if you are, and it's not just you, but those that are in business for this, first of all, you should cover your expenses. So if you're not making money, that probably needs to change a minute. But secondly, if you're not paying taxes, everyone else in the community is, in order to offset that balance. So if you have a business, then you should, charge a reasonable amount to cover those expenses. But then also it spreads the taxes for I think about our senior population. They're paying a higher rate because others are not. And so that's where I think it's coming to a head for us is what is equitable for our entire community, our population, on their taxes. We have to cover government services. And so not charging some when they are a business entity, which, these are, I don't think that's equitable to the rest of the community that's paying the taxes instead of this business.
I understand. As a nonprofit and as a ministry, our focus is to work with youth and families. I will say that charging a higher rate will exclude our nonprofit groups, and that's where I'm here to advocate the most for. I can't speak for the bishop and his operation, but I can speak for the other folks that really would not be able to come to Valley County if we weren't able to provide an affordable way for them to bring their school group or environmental education group or insert nonprofit group here without charging lower prices so that it can be affordable for them.
And I think, Megan, it's, to me, what it really comes down to is a business decision. Maybe you want to continue with offering wedding venues as a commercial use because that revenue generated will more than pay the taxes and fees. So it's not like we don't want you to do it, but you, like Sherry said, we have other private commercial enterprises asking to do the same thing and they don't pay any tax. Or they pay tax where you guys don't, so there's a unfairness to that. And that's something that your board and your camp will have to decide whether to continue on with or maybe restructure and not offer that.
Charge more for weddings and
Yeah.
give a break for the nonprofits, those types of things. Because I hear you. I mean, I've been a part of the nonprofit world for 40 years, and it touches my heart too to have to make these decisions. But sometimes it comes down to an equitable situation. And when the courts start making these decisions and pushing it down, then it's all of a sudden we have to look at that.
What about organizations that have been provided an exemption that charge a higher rate for members, like a golf course, or even some of our other camps, like the YMCA, charge a higher rate for their non-member campers to attend? It feels
Those
like
would
that might be
be-
an inconsistency.
I'm assuming those would come under a different code, which would be the charity code instead of the religious code, and there's different rules for that charity exception versus
Thank you for the
religious.
clarification.
And we look at those too. But, so I had a question on the total value, the $892,686. That's just the value for 23 days, correct?
Correct.
Because we don't have the total value.
That's because I wasn't asking for it to be amended.
'Cause I just want to make sure that's for the record that 892,686 is the value that we are levying.
Correct,
Okay.
which is the value for 23 days of commercial use.
So what's that come out to be? Well, I mean, you're taxing those 23 days. What's the total of that?
So the land
How
value
bad we
for 365 days is 11,591,425. I divided that by 365, came up with $31,757.33 per day. I multiplied that by 23 days, come out with $730,419 for the land. Then on the improvements, the improvements come to $2,575,099, divided that by 365. For a per day assessed value of $7,055.07. I multiplied that by 23 days. It came out to $162,267. So the 730,000 plus the 162 comes out to our 892,686.
Makes sense. I just want to make sure we have that in the record.
Multiply that by the.
Okay, is there any more questions or comments?
Oh, so they won't set that until, so we won't know what the actual tax is gonna
No,
cost.
so I did give them an estimate of what their taxes would be, and I used the 2023 levy rates because it was the only thing available. So just to give them, because a lot of organizations were like, what does that equate to in taxes? And so I went ahead and just kind of did a ballpark estimate for them just to give them an idea.
Do we have an idea what that is in here?
300.
Yeah. Give me just a second and I'll find it. Approximately $2,300. That is an estimate.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know where I saw that, somewhere in one of these things.
I hadn't spotted that yet. So.
Okay, any more questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve or deny it, or we can,
If you guys want more time to be able to
Table
read
this.
through all the packets from both the assessor and the appellant, I mean,
That's the hard part.
you can always table it. It's because you didn't really have time to read
you know,
everything.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it too.
I can schedule time on July 8th for you guys to make final decisions after you have time to review everything, if that,
This would be a recommendation from us to you, correct? And then you guys will come up with the written, correct?
well, after you have to decide.
And we have to decide.
And,
Okay,
and from whatever your decision is,
then you'll write that.
then we'll put it on the record and then we'll have to write a decision to give to the appellant.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion that we approve the appraiser's recommended assessment for 23 days for a total value to be assessed at $892,686.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye, motion carries.
And hopefully we do get clarity from the legislature. We're all asking for clarity on what this means, and the courts have, that's where it's hard. The courts are starting to see some of these and make decisions, and it makes it pretty clear, what the intent in their eyes were anyways.
They like to muddy the waters. We got to clean it up.
Well, and Megan, you know that you can appeal this to the state. There's
Yes.
more steps you can take if you don't agree.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Megan.
Okay, we're gonna move right on down the list. The next one is Camp Ida Haven.
Well, they're not scheduled until, what time? Till 10:15.
15, so we wanna wait.
Well, we have to because it's a personal appearance.
Oh,
Are any of these other ones that we could fill in with?
Well, hold on, Maureen's got my list. I should have made another one. I'm sorry, Maureen. I'll do that. Let's see. Okay, so we've got the first two done. Camp Ida Haven is scheduled for 10:15. So if the appraisers, let me call
The ones
Jerry or Bob or Justine. Let me call down there.
the ones in yellow are the
Yeah.
only ones that are showing up.
Yeah, I'd like
okay,
to.
so
can
Doug,
we have a
let's mute for
restroom?
5 minutes. Take a 5-minute break while you see who you can get lined up.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
All right.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is Camp Ida Haven. Bethany, come on up to the mic, please. Welcome. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you very much. The way this kind of works is you're allowed 15 minutes to prove your case as far as the assessment, and the appraiser or assessor goes next, and then at the end, we have questions, and then we'll go from there. So I will, as soon as we get a packet from Sue, I will let you get started.
So I have your packet that I'm giving them and then mine. And I have one here. You need one.
That we just got notified our bill payment was just issued. $982,779. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Bethany, I will let you go ahead and start.
I don't think we need to start a timer. I don't necessarily
No.
have 15 minutes. So,
I did.
and
Yeah, I swore in.
He swore at her.
I swore at her.
yep, there was some swearing. On behalf of Camp Ida Haven, I just simply would like to,
Can you state your name? I apologize.
yes, Bethany Pratt, I'm the administrative director at Camp Ida Haven. And on behalf of the camp and the Idaho Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, I state that we contest the ruling that while I'm not here to argue your count of 30 days, because what I'm saying, based on how you are interpreting the statute, great, 30 days, fine. We disagree with the interpretation of the statute, that all of the use of our property and all of the groups that come in, whether they are directly affiliated with the Seventh-day Adventist Church or not, those are all part of the purpose and use of the intended use of our property. I would argue that similar to when somebody enters a church, they do not have to be a member of the church to attend. When you come to our camp, you do not have to be a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church to arrive, to spend time there, and to benefit from our intended purpose of the land. Really, that's about the extent of what I have to say. I'm sure we could argue semantics and diagram sentences. I'm, again, not here to be argumentative, but that is our opinion of the scenario.
Okay, any questions for Bethany?
Bethany, does Camp Ida Haven have a permit for hosting commercial events such as weddings?
No, we do not.
Okay. All right.
In fact, we don't host weddings with the very rare exception that it would be, so I think it was 2 summers ago, 2 of our staff members who had met at camp, had worked at camp together, happened to be members of one of the churches in Boise, of our Adventist churches in Boise. They did their wedding there. So there's pretty limited exceptions.
Okay. Did you charge them to use the property?
I think they paid in the neighborhood of $1,000 to cover the food, etc.
Okay. But you also have family reunions, retreats, and seminars, because that is on your website, correct?
It's kind of funny. I appreciate you mentioning the website. The website, ironically, I actually am not sure who put what's on our website. We get a lot of phone calls for random things. Almost all of which we say, yeah, so sorry, we're not, we're not available, or that doesn't meet our purposes. Our camp facilities are booked basically a year in advance. The same group that was here last year says, hey, yeah, we'd like to come again. And we say, great. The information on the website is more, the original intent was more to help answer questions of, so one of our churches in Boise is bringing a group up and they have 1 million questions, and I'm the only person that answers the phone or emails. And so the hope was we could say, hey, look at the pictures on the website. That's what the accommodations look like, as opposed to advertising purposes. It's really informational for the groups that are, in particular, like our Adventist groups that are already coming, and we're just trying to clarify things.
Okay, any questions for Bethany?
No, we understand your frustration. It's a legislative thing that's going to have to clean up their act and make it a little easier for us to understand, but we understand. We do.
Okay, so then I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Sue.
Okay, so the property's located at 2595 East Side Drive in McCall. We have it highlighted up there on Payette Lake on the map there. I have included, or the commissioner, granted 335 days of exempt use and determined 30 days of commercial use. We did go over the calendar together, and that was the outcome of how we calculated those days. I have included Idaho Code 63-602B in your packet. It states that the property must be used exclusively by the owner. If it is leased to someone else, it becomes a business or commercial use, and the assessor is tasked with putting a value on that portion that is used for commercial use. The State Tax Commission published IDAPA rules. So IDAPA Rule 35.01.03.603 gives the county assessor guidance on how to calculate the days of commercial use. It mentions the calendar. That's why we started asking for a calendar, and with hopes that we can go over the calendar with the organization that is filing for an exemption. That way we are able to determine if it was used exclusively for the use of the owner of the property or if it was rented to other organizations. I also included the IDAPA rules right out of the Tax Commission's book. I also included the Sawtooth Valley Chapel ETA decision from 2022. I have highlighted some key factors for you, that there's 2 qualifying criteria for a religious exemption, that the property must belong to a religious organization, and that the property is used exclusively for religious, educational, or recreational purposes of such religious organization. In other words, it has to be used by the owner. Renting a venue to a religious organization is not itself a religious purpose or use, is stated also in this BTA decision. It must be used exclusively for and in connection with any combination of religious, educational, recreational purposes of such religious corporation. It also states that the statute unequivocally states the property must be used in furtherance of the owner's religious purposes, not those of another religious organization. Those are just kind of the highlights of the BTA decision. The process in which we looked at each application when it came in the door, we looked to see if it was owned by a religious organization, and then if it was used exclusively by that religious organization exclusively. If it wasn't, then we had to look at the commercial use, and we also look at their articles of incorporation to determine, what their purpose is versus what they're using the property for. We also compare the calendar that they provide and hopefully go over with us and to see if that coincides with the purpose stated as well. We also look at their website to see how they're marketing the property. If it appears that they're marketing it for what we consider a commercial use, then we have to look at that and say, well, there's some commercial use, and then we go back to the calendar and hopefully are able to go over that with the appellant to determine how many days. And so we did determine that there was 30 days during 2023 that it was used for a commercial use. And so that is what we assessed them for. I also included snapshots of their website for you guys to look at. So you can see what they have to offer. I also included their calendar.
Sue, on the calendar, lots of different colors.
Well, ironically, when this process started, Sue was communicating with somebody in the Boise office for the conference office for the Seventh Adventist headquarters. And then that person would send me cryptic messages and say, can you give me such and such? So I'm like, oh yeah, sure. So I would just answer a question, not even knowing what the context was, what we were talking about. At some point she asked me for a calendar. And so I just sent her the Excel sheet, which is not meant to be useful to anyone but me. So then later, after that was submitted to Sue, and then Sue is like, can you help me? I don't even know what this is. I was like, oh, okay, well, let me try and categorize based on the information. Because then again, I went back to the information that had been submitted to Sue, where they were saying these are the different uses. And so I was trying to color code match. Right now, I could not tell you what the different colors mean.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, at that brief moment,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this goes into this category.
I don't know, all the states looking at it, they look at each church camp as competing with outside entities on a commercial level.
Right.
And so that's what the state's looking at, and that's I couldn't decipher on the calendar.
It's not obvious what?
So do you have the total appraised value?
Mhm.
We didn't get that in the packet. And then
I do. All right, so the land value for 365 days would be $7,691,842. I divided that by 365 days to come up with a per day of $21,073.54. I multiplied that by 30 days. So their total land value came in at $632,206. And I did the same with the improvement value. The total improvement value for 365 days would be $4,926,756. Divided that by 365. I came up with $13,498 per day times 30 days for a total of $404,939. So the land value and the improvement value added together comes in at $1,037,145. And that is for 30 days of use during 2023. And that was what was sent out on the assessment notice.
Taxes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hey, any
Mr.
more
Chair.
questions?
No.
Not either.
I actually do have a question.
Sure.
Which came up as someone was talking. What defines leasing the property? Because when I think of lease, I'm like, here you go, take the property and use it as you wish. Whereas we cook for every group that comes in. We're involved in hosting and providing services for every group that comes in. And I don't know, I'm not arguing that there's a distinction, but maybe there is, I don't know.
Yeah. So if the owner of the property is using the property for its intended purpose that we find in the Articles of Incorporation, that is considered an exempt use. As soon as you lease, rent, let someone else use the
Okay.
property, it becomes, you become the landlord or the host, if you will.
Mhm.
And that is determined as a commercial use
Okay.
because the property is not being used by the owner of the
Gotcha.
property. I hope.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions?
Not a question, but it is I will state, it is a challenge as of last year when this issue first came up. It still didn't feel clear that there was something that we were supposed to be doing. And even when this came up last year, we were already booked for this entire calendar year.
Right.
And I'm booked for the entire calendar year of next year. We still don't know what the scenario is, but without canceling groups that I don't know for sure which groups I would or wouldn't cancel, or changing rates on groups if it were to go that direction, right, where certain groups are taxed. It certainly puts us in a difficult situation because we don't know how we're supposed to be operating if we're doing something wrong. So just a statement of information, yeah.
Don't think you're doing anything wrong.
Right.
We are just going to calculate the commercial use days. And so whatever that looks like, I mean, we don't want to tell you guys how to conduct your business transactions or your exempt use. That's totally up to you guys. Just whatever days it's rented to another organization, we're going to count as a commercial use, and you'll be assessed for those days, which in turn turns into a tax bill down the road.
Sure.
I think it would be helpful for you guys to actually have your calendar, and now that you know that you're going to be looking at commercial use, you got to prove why it's not commercial use.
Right.
And if, it's just a business plan, it's a business model.
Right.
At $2,600 in taxes, you could easily spread that over, whatever use those 30 days are.
Right.
Be able to.
Yeah, and again, the challenge would be some of those days, there were 15 people. So if I remember correctly, it was 10 of those days, 10 of those 30 days was maybe 15 or 20 people, which is,
Much out of those.
yeah. Versus a group of 150. So there's a huge comparison game to be playing. Similarly, I'm still a little unclear as to how the 3% rule falls in, like why does the ice rink qualify not under the whichever letter B or C?
They're a 602C.
Right. So why did they get a 3% rule? Should we be looking at a 3% rule? Like 3% of our square footage is being used by?
It's 3% of the value. So if we calculate that 3% of the value that you're using it for other purposes, and it's only 3%, and we would treat it all as an exemption. But that's pretty small, especially with these properties that are assessed values.
Sure.
And Bethany, I think it's important too, we kind of saw this coming a year ago, and so we tried to warn a lot of the church camps that, hey, this is coming down the pike. And I feel really good that we allowed a year's grace period there for everybody to adjust their business model. The other thing that it seems to be kind of forgotten is everybody still needs an ambulance, everybody still needs a sheriff's deputy, everybody still needs a road plow.
Sure.
And I just feel like everybody should pay some of their share towards those costs that the county incurs. But the big issue on all of this is the Custer County trial or outcome of that really set the pace for all the other counties. That's where we are today. So maybe have your professional attorney, whoever you have, will really look that case over.
Right.
And because that really set the standard for the rest of the counties.
Yeah.
I included it in
Yeah.
your packet.
Okay.
In fact, you have the IDAPA rule, code, and the sawtooth decision. I know it's riveting. But if you, with whomever, makes the decisions,
Right.
if you could share that with them.
Yep.
And I think it will help them.
Mm-hmm.
I also included the process, the things we look at
Mhm.
to determine, should there be an exemption and for how many days, et cetera.
Sure.
And talk to your legislators.
Yeah.
There really does need to be clarity in the legislature.
Right. Absolutely.
About this.
Absolutely.
Okay, any
So,
more
Mr.
questions, any more comments? Are we ready to make a decision?
Chairman, I would move that we uphold the exemption appeal application with the assessor with 30 days being exempt and the remaining, 30 days being commercial use, the rest being exempt. You about passed out over there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a difference for 2024 with the Southern Idaho Association of Seventh-day Adventists, Camp Ida Haven.
I'll say that.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And do realize, Bethany, if you don't like this decision, you can appeal
Right.
through state process. So-
The Board of Tax Appeals.
Yep.
And Sue's explained all that, that's in your package. as
Yep.
well.
The information will also be with their written decision.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in. We appreciate all you do.
Thank you, Bethany. I'm sorry, what?
You need to get up and run
Got
around.
to say,
Hey,
subject
Bill
to final
Gold's not
written
gonna be here
decision.
till 1. Do you want to do some
Yes.
personals or
Around a little bit.
non-personal? You guys need a break?
I need a.
Okay, let's take it 10, 15. Let's go try and meet back here like 20 after.
What time is the next one
1
in
o'clock.
person?
Well, the next personal appearance is 1:00, but what we'll do is we'll fill in the spaces with the appraisers.
Okay.
So they can get a lot of theirs taken care of. Should we give Jen a heart attack and tell her we need to hear Lake Plaza?
Thanks, Doug. If you'll mute us, let's go back about 20 after.
Mr. Chairman, we're back on.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're on YouTube and in the audience. Our next item is appeal number
Always forget.
JM2416. And please remember to let the record show that Jerry has been sworn in. To be sworn in. And I'll turn it over to you guys. Hang on, Jerry, we're waiting for the handouts.
Somebody's coming in, we'll probably bring that microphone back here.
And nobody's using it.
Okay, Jerry, now you're on.
Okay, as mentioned, the protest number is JM 2416. The subject property is at 196 Oak Ridge Road, up the Garden West Subdivision, number 1, lot 16. It consists of 1.4590 acres. The following improvements are a 36 by 48 detached garage with an average grade. Its 2024 assessed value is $92,651. The other improvement is a 2009 wood frame dwelling of an average grade consisting of 1,967 feet of living area, and its assessed 24 assessment is $543,856. Below, if you will, you can see the values for the parcel 22, 23, and 24. The appellant's package is Richard G. Smith is the attorney handling it for the Stiver Family Trust. The owner has made us aware that the house flooded in 2023, causing damages in the amount of $35,858. And it hasn't been repaired as of today. You can refer to this estimate from State Farm, summary of loss on the back of your packet. And the amount that is being protested is the $35,858. Therefore, I'm recommending the current assessed property value be reduced to equal the estimated cost
Of repairs.
of repairs as stated in State Farm summary of loss in the sum of $35,558, excuse me. Therefore, recommending that the assessed property be reduced to equal the estimated cost of repairs, bringing the dwelling assessed value to $507,998. If you look below that, the new assessed values for 2024, land is $132,574, improvements $600,649 for a total assessed value of $733,223.
Jerry, that's a little confusing to me. The line above the new assessed tax value for 2024 on the dwelling is 507,998.
That's
So
correct.
that's the house,
House
and then
only.
the
Just the house
shop
only.
makes the difference between.
Right,
that.
we're not making any adjustments to any other improvements or the land.
Okay, so because they've had water mitigation or a water damage here that they haven't corrected, you give them a date certain that they have to have that corrected by, or we will not amend for next year? I mean, do you give them a year to have this done?
Well, what I was gonna do is make a memo to contact them prior to next year's DOE and see if it has been repaired. This, the conditions occurred back in July 23, and they're just now getting around to looking at the assessed values.
I'm surprised their insurance company hasn't told them get it done.
Right, yes.
I don't think we have the right to tell them a deadline that they have to have it.
Yeah,
But why do we have, I guess I'm confused here a little bit. So they've got water damage. Everybody understand water damage? They got an insurance claim, so there's money to repair all this water damage. How does that affect the property value? The
Well,
place
they
is still worth what it is, and I don't get why we're lessening the property value.
If they were to sell it in a flooded state, they're not gonna get as much money for it.
Well, I agree with that, but, I mean, yeah, if you did that with it not being repaired, yeah, you wouldn't get as much.
Yeah.
Let's say.
I think my concern is more in the fact that because they waited so long to repair, there's gonna be a mold issue. It's gonna be a lot more than the $35,000.
Well, that's what they're gonna have to
We
take.
gotta take their word at it as it comes in on their document and see where it goes. They may come in next year and ask for $100,000.
right, but maybe we could put something in there saying that this is the final assess for the original damages. Because like you said, it could get much worse if it's been sitting there for a year
Oh, yeah.
with water and everything.
So when they do remodel and get it done, do they notify you and then you go in and inspect that or look at that?
Well, they didn't even notify us that there was a flood. And a lot of people don't know that they should do that. So we just try to educate people as we go. As of January 1st of 2024, which is the date that we have to assess by, it was not repaired. And so they did provide a document from the insurance stating this is how much damage there is. Obviously, they're going to get payment to correct that. Jerry's going to check with them at the first of the year and see if it's been repaired.
So Mr.
That's when you go in and look at it.
Yeah.
Any more questions? No?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we uphold the appeal JM 2416 as approved by the assessor's office for a total of $733,223 as the total assessed value for 2024.
So I got a motion and a second to uphold the appraised value of $733,223. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. What's the day?
26.
Thank you, Jerry. Thanks,
Jerry,
Jerry.
good job.
Justine,
You want this back signed?
Doug gets the signed copy.
Thank you, sir.
Justine will be presenting JW 2403 for the Leaf Family Trust.
And you got sworn in, right?
I did. You don't get one, do you?
If you have one available, that'd be great.
I have to.
Thank you. I don't actually need it.
Thank you, ma'am. Just
It's nice for Doug to have a copy, so he has all the info.
Yeah, we don't want this.
Yep. Thank you.
I don't think anybody's coming in.
Excuse me for a moment.
Hi, Kevin.
Oh, no, you're okay. Are 1:30 will work? Okay, we'll see it. No, it's okay. All right, we'll see you at about 1:30 then. Thank you for calling back. Bye-bye.
Okay, the next appeal on our list is JW 2403, the Lee Family Trust. Justine, I'll turn it over to you. Go for it.
Right. The subject property is located on Susanna Lane in Donley. The property is 0.0570 acres. Back in 2020, it was put into a sound value for 4,408, like the whole subdivision. Not sure why. So when we were out there in reval, we took the sound value off, and so that it could be back with market sales. But due to it being small, we put a negative 50% on for sanitary restrictions and a negative 40% for plottage. So now the value is 22,837, which should be fair. So on the next page, I have some comps in the area at what the lots are going for. Like I said, there's not really anything that small. So it's really hard to compare.
These are those voter lots.
So this is a quarter of, no.
I don't know what a voter lot is.
So from what I've heard from the people back whenever somebody was running for somebody and doing something. So he bought property and split all these lots so his friends could have them and then they could vote.
Here in Valley County, yeah. This was way back.
Yeah,
way back.
so now there's all these little voter lots.
A
Wow.
lot of people have bought more than one and then combined them so that they could build on them. But this
Was
particular,
that during your term?
No, wait, this was a long
long
time.
time ago.
Crazy.
So what happened is they ended up being put in, like Justine said, at a sound value, and so they weren't
What does
moving
that
with,
mean?
they weren't moving with the market. So there was a value put on it and it stays the same every single year. Well, when we did reval in that area, Justine removed the sound value as she should have.
So sand value means no sanitary?
No, sound value means like a true tax value. So whatever you enter, so the 4,000,
4,000.
whatever, was the value for quite some time. And then when she did reval in that area, she removed that because we should.
Oh,
A lot of times BOE decisions or BTA decisions, if it gets missed, the appraiser doesn't go back and remove those. Or if we have turnover, the new person doesn't know that they need to do that. So Mr. Leaf was sent an amended notice for the 22,837, and that included the negative 50% sanitary restriction and the 40% plottage adjustment. So basically, the 22,000 that was sent to him on an amended notice is about 10% of the full market value of that lot, but because it has issues.
How wide is that lot? Six, gotta be.
So on the back is a letter. He states that it's 25 by 100.
And you can see a bunch on the north side of Susanna.
Yeah, so all those on that street pretty much are the lots.
Yeah.
That absolutely cracks me up.
And the bigger ones are ones that were combined.
Oh my goodness.
So does he own more than one lot?
He does not. So the ones that have bigger lots, I did not put sanitary restrictions on because they can build on them. So for him, I did put the sanitary restriction.
Is there sewer in that area?
I don't believe so, no.
Are these right off, Roseberry?
Yeah.
Right off the, yeah. So there's Roseberry.
Yeah, Roseberry's right there. Cassandra. There's, sorry. John drives down in this area.
I find it interesting though that if you own a lot like that, why would you not want it to be open?
Right?
I don't understand.
I've had about 6 calls and there, people were not happy.
They don't wanna sell it, they just wanna hold it.
Yeah.
They probably just pull their camper up and stick on there would be my guess.
Yeah, that's pretty, but they said they're only camping lots, but I said there's still have to be worth the value.
Yeah.
You can't just put 4,000 on there.
No. Even a camp lot is worth, a lot up here today, so, yeah.
You can price everything to going up anyhow, so.
Any more questions for Justine?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the,
I know. You're gonna,
Huh?
you would be denying,
Deny?
he would be denying.
So we're not
Because
upholding.
is this, appeal?
Wants to go back to 4,000
Okay,
value.
that we deny the appeal of JW 2403.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to deny the appeal and keep the appraised value of $22,837. All in favor, please say aye.
How
The
many
motion carries.
voter lots do
Sue,
we
on-
have?
On the bottom here,
Just these?
total value approved, and then it says protest
That really
denied.
kinda
Are like
cracks me
both of
up.
those?
People are so
You're gonna
honest.
deny.
Well, you wrote that they were,
appeal.
so they could vote in the school.
Protest denied,
in
no,
the s-
So you're gonna
in the
get
schools
denied.
thing. But they weren't living here, so I don't know why it would affect
because I
them.
did it wrong on that one.
I don't know when legislature put that into it.
No, we don't have this.
You had to live in the county.
My understanding was this was
My God.
modified,
Is
right?
that just so they think they can,
So then I'm gonna mark
Oh,
denied.
Denied.
oh my goodness, that's hilarious. You'd have to buy 4 houses.
Adjusting.
There was a
You know what
little
they-
unethical in all of that.
Bob, Pepin called just like, and she did agree to
That's
be
hilarious.
here at 1:30 rather than 2:45 for her personal appearance. So the next one, let's see. However, do you have, hold on, we got Craig with George Doris. Are you,
George Doris.
Only?
Hey, hang on a second, guys, I gotta catch up here. This was JW
They have property outside city limits too. Isn't this Susan?
Yes.
That's the mayor.
the street.
they actually filed,
A couple different appeals. Thank you.
This is CM.
It's out of line. Structure house. No, this one.
Okay, so I'm gonna announce this one, and you have been sworn in, right?
No, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Morning. Been sworn in.
So this is.
This is for-
CM 2415.
Sir.
Here you go, turn it over to you.
Is for the Doris property. It is RPD 0451000020. C subdivision lot 2.
Craig, mine are all three exactly the same. Are they supposed to all three be exactly the same?
Oh, you got,
Got extra
I
time.
have everybody's.
You have, you have our other copy.
I'll take these back.
you just, did you get these?
Can I have,
I need one, I need one.
Oh, yeah.
I just had three of them, so I thought there were three properties.
You got enough? Okay. Okay.
Sorry about that. Extra copy. So this last year, Mr. Doris came in and that property that we have up here is across the street from their other real property. If you look back, in the assessor's notice, he was assessed at a cabin. And if we can click on the picture. It's not a regular shed. Our assessor prior picked that up as a cabin. It sat like a cabin for a couple of years. And he came in and talked to me and explained that it was only used for storage. So I dropped it back to a shed.
No bathroom or anything like that.
It is it's a nice setup. He's got, on other pictures, you can see that there's doors and windows throughout. Nice siding. It's got a pitched roof on it. 2x6 is not like a regular shed. So I put a good valuation on it. And it was okay. We were good for that year. And this year we came back, the state came in and upgraded and increased the prices for all of our outdoor sheds.
which
They were
needed to
under-
happen.
They were under that. So, rather than, I did check, it's in my reval area, it's still being used for storage. Not using it. Rather than just say it was upgraded, I did put a little effort into it. If you go to the spreadsheet in the back, the only way I could figure, rather than pulling up Marshall and Swift, would be to go to our building permits. Since these are only a placement permit, really kind of a true reflection of what it is. Nobody has any reason not to say. It doesn't increase your price. So I just went on the first ones, picked the lengths and widths, did the square footage. And off to the right, that's the price that we had on them. And then you have your per square foot price. Below that is $55.96 average square foot price. I did take it one step farther and take the high and low out on your next column. And it's still $49.56. Our state's proved out. I'm asking to keep the price the way it is.
He thinks it should be worth 7,000 to include land.
I think he meant the price of, or the assessed value of the shed.
Okay.
I think is what the appellant meant by that.
However, his argument, I need to add also, was based on building materials on the sales. They didn't really plummet. If you read it, they just didn't go up as much as.
So the land value went down, but the shed improvement went up. And the difference is about $800, a little less. Last year.
So you're taking the land value down 5,000, increasing the improvement by 6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks legit to me.
Me too. Any more questions for Greg or Jeff?
Well, just saying it cost them $12,194 to build it. Is that what you're figuring?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
$12,194 is what it costs to build it.
That's what it's assessed as a value to sell or buy.
Right.
We don't know what it costs.
So that's just what you're assessing. That's,
We're
if
assessing
you were
that
to
as-
sell it. Yeah, I'm following you. Okay.
What's the square, 192, nope, 264 square foot. Above by 22.
Got a little patio off to the front.
So he's saying it's $7,075.
Mr. Chairman, are you ready for a motion?
If there's no more questions, I am ready for a motion for CM 2415.
I'm going to move that we deny the appeal of George Doris, CM 2415, and uphold the market value as assessed by the assessor's office of $128,885 for the property.
Second.
And a motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thanks, Craig. Good job.
Okay, good job.
Good job.
Yeah. It's
Hey, Bob. Bob has 3 appeals from Duann Wright. All 3 lots are contiguous.
Okay, now let's do it one at a time.
Yeah.
this the Duann, right?
Yes.
Bob, you want to do 2418 first?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Hilltop and Crown Point.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so this is appeal number BB 2418.
Thank you.
Hilltop and Crown Point.
Are you out of copies?
No, I
Wait.
gave myself an extra copy.
Wait,
I've got 'em.
no, never mind. I got one from Noreen. I'm sorry.
Oh,
No, you're good.
All right, Crown Point. We got West Mountain Road in there.
No, her place isn't on Crown Point. That's what she used for comps. So
Oh, got
that's,
it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Bob, go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right, so this is for BB 2418, property owner Duane L. Wright, property RP 13N 03E 037326. So this property is located adjacent to 528 Englow Drive in Cascade. It consists of 0.7506 good land, grade acres. This is a bare, unimproved lot. It was split as of January 1st, 24, which is why the values kind of went up, because the parent lot was over 2 acres, so they were getting that buffer land discount. But now there are 3 lots all around 7 acres. So her value went up when you combine 3 lots instead of having 1 big lot. So she did offer some comparables. They were from Crown Point and Hilltop area, as she shows in her packet. And I show on pictures of the back page of the second balanced comparable. So they're not close to the lake, and they don't have government land as a border, as she does. So I did find 2 comparables right near her house. One was on if you look at the back of the second page on that picture, it's just down the road, maybe 10 parcels.
It's the highlighted green.
Yes. So that parcel sold for $205,000 on July 18th of 2023, which ended up being about $23.33 per square foot. She is being assessed at $6.12 a square foot.
So I need to back up for just a minute so I can get this in my brain. So that box was the original parcel, or she is split?
That is one of the
That is
splits.
the new split.
Originally 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Duane called, we did a combination of this parcel and the 2 parcels below her here that she
Okay.
owns, which we'll review those on the next 2 appeal numbers.
So they were at one moment combined.
So at one moment, she put them all together.
Okay.
And for some reason, she decided to split them back out because
She wants
she
to
wants to build
build
a
on one
house
of them.
on one of them. So I don't know which one she wants to build.
So I'm a
on. So
little
she
confused by the fact that she's that close to the river or to the lake,
to the lake.
and there is no central services there. So can she even get a septic?
She may or may not be able to, depending on what kind of septic system that she has.
However, if we were to put a sanitary restriction on there, we'd have to have documentation from the property owner that they got from Central District Health
Okay.
saying that they will not approve a septic. If we have documentation, then we apply a negative 50% sanitary restriction to that piece of property as long as we have documentation and she has not provided.
And the green one down at the bottom that has
Was
sold,
the sale
So-
from July.
I'm looking at her property in conjunction to the lake view. She claims there's no view because of the neighbor's sheds. She's directly on the lake with this property.
That's a
And
government property
lot.
there.
Yeah, this is a
Is
government.
the lot that is at the bottom in that green, is that, somebody else's lots there where, I mean, they could,
These are owned by other
those,
people.
okay.
Yeah, there's a house on the other side of that lot
And
you look at directly.
So their view is really restricted. So
Mhm.
actually, she has an unrestricted view versus that one being restricted view. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, thank you.
So on the back of that first page, I show all 3 of her lots and how they're continuous, S1, S2, S3. Right now, we're looking at the S1.
Got it? Yeah, her comparables are not even close to.
And the second comparable was, it's almost on West Mountain Road, so that's why it's a little cheaper, because it's not even a lakeside property. But that was very close to her house to show that that neighborhood is much higher than Crown Point or Hilltop in general.
First of all, you can actually get there in the wintertime. Most of that on Crown Point you can't even get to, so. And Ponderosa Shores that she's using is the one with the compromised road, isn't it? The one we've heard from every single year that they have compromised.
Yeah, their roads aren't very nice either, but they're not as steep as Hilltop.
So can you zoom in on that picture? What I'm trying to figure out is what is that body of water in the government property right there? Is that water?
It's water. It's probably just left over from the high water mark.
Yeah, I think this is a
It's
fall
hadn't-
photo
because
where
we
it's
don't
dried
know.
up a lot.
Yeah, it's been, this is probably into summer.
Is.
And it could have been from 2 or 3 years ago.
Now, is there access from that road that's just straight north?
Her access is right here. You gotta take like Ruth Street down to Henglow, and then it gets really nasty down through here. And then this, because she owns this one and this one, and then this one behind.
So,
So she can actually, and then I think these are
There's a-
relatives,
Yeah, there's a road through her property.
Yeah.
That property.
which they're all.
So go up to the next lot. And see that trail that kind of goes to the right through the middle of it?
This gray right here.
No, other direction. Further on up to the right.
a little bit up, there you go, that
That,
one.
is that a trail
Kind of appears that way.
on government ground?
It looks like they could drive out there from this person's.
Four-wheeler trail.
It could be from the cows as well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out in my head. Because if you go,
I want to say that there is a fence that runs right through here from when I was grazing out there.
what I'm wondering if that is the trail that they're building the new fence on. Soil Conservation District.
She's got a paved driveway
See,
to the
there's
right
another-
there.
Another big road to the right. Is that a road?
Right here.
No.
Oh, this one up here.
Just trying to figure out what's going on. Or is this a road? Or is this a beach?
No, it's just part of the beach.
I think
So
it's
it
just
looks like
sand.
it goes on.
It's just part of the sandy beach.
Yeah.
Because this big one here is
Down
government.
on
Cause that looks like a four-wheeler road.
Is
right
that up
there.
on the top is the main drainage that is
Yeah.
contributing to the septic issues on Cascade?
As I can't believe she'll even be able to get a septic on it, but that's not what she's requesting right now. So
Yeah.
if she split them, that's,
It's
you
not
know,
our-
But she
not our
definitely has
issue.
a lake view.
how she does.
Oh, yeah.
Will you scroll into where that house is?
This one?
Nope, the one down below that one.
Yeah, it's a little cabin of hers
Okay.
on one of the other
Well, there's
fields.
definitely a paved driveway that goes back.
That's
to
not
this.
paved.
Oh, it's not bad,
It's
though.
not
Paved.
paved.
Yeah, there's
It's
nothing
just
paved
grade.
over there.
Okay.
It's just grayed out.
Okay. Well, she definitely has access to this lot also. Through that, hopefully she did an easement across there if she's.
Well,
splitting these,
so
but-
her and I talked about that when I talked to her. And she says, well, there's no access to the rectangle lot that runs this way, the rural piece. And I said, but you can access it through your lot 5 and 6. And I said, if you were ever to sell that parcel, you would have to grant an easement to whoever bought it.
Yeah, she can't landlock something.
You can't landlock something. So anyway, she's like, oh, okay. I mean, she understood.
I think this is another easy peasy.
So the only question I have is, so this first one, you're doing it 199,944. Okay,
Yeah, that's her property. That's what it's currently assessed at.
okay.
So it's just that one lot we're looking
That
at?
one lot, yes.
Okay.
So it's about $6.12 a square foot.
And it's lakefront.
Well, I
Technically.
mean,
Not really.
yeah, there's another lot, government lot on the other side of hers, and then the lake, yes.
So we
Therefore, we don't
normally,
assess a beachfront access.
we
because
would
she doesn't
normally
touch
have an excellent land grade
Yeah.
on her lots because of the proximity. You know, there's no lots between her and the water. The reason we're speculating that the reason that the appraiser put a good land grade on it is because it is the roads are very difficult to get. So we actually backed off the land grade by a full grade to account for that.
Okay.
And there's a lot of trees that kind of block the view, so you don't get a perfect lake view because of the trees on the government lot.
And it's the south end of the lake.
Yeah.
It's dried up very fast.
But Cascade, none of Cascade is like front footage either.
This isn't on you guys, but I'm just really concerned that she's breaking these into smaller lots. I mean,
That's what they were originally.
Yeah.
That's what they
She-
were originally.
She combined them for assessment
for tax
purposes.
purposes,
Yeah.
yes. Now breaking them apart, so yeah. I'll flag these and make sure we put some kind of notice on this, and make sure she gets a septic approval before she sells any of these things. I don't know how we do that. Buyer beware. Buyer beware on these,
Yeah.
because these are probably not gonna get a septic
So
approval.
we're showing 199 and she's thinking it's 130. That's a big spread.
Yeah, that's why she was comparing it to the Pellet's construct at the bottom.
Mhm.
She was trying to compare it to, like I said, Ground Point, which is $2 a square foot. It's just not the same.
Not the same. at all.
Not apples to apples.
No.
Hey, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we deny BB 2418 and uphold the assessor's recommendation.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Got me a handout too.
And she used different comps.
Must have a realtor friend.
The same area though.
When he gave her access to the MLS.
Yeah, I think so.
A half acre, man. She needs to wait until that South Lake Sewer District gets put in place. So this one is
Same thing.
S2, what's the?
Okay, this is BB 2419.
Yeah, so this is for parcel number RP 00099002005A. This is 528 Henglow Drive in Cascade. We have the current land value of $163,750. This is 0.5381 good land grade acres. This is also bare unimproved lots. It was split as of January 1st, 2024. So again, the appellants comparables were from Hilltop and Crown Point neighborhoods, which I don't think are apples to apples. So in my opinion, the 24% value for the subject property is accurate and fair. And meets the requirements of Idaho Code Rule 217, regulations
From the
promulgated
State Tax Commission.
by the State Tax Commission. And I request that the Board of Equalization sustain the 23 assessed value of $163,750.
Talk to us about the access on this one, because it appears that drive, Henglow Drive, is pretty far south of this.
No, it isn't.
It's not?
So our map shows what was platted, and over the many years, it just kind of, they might have migrated. So this is actually Henglow Drive right here that separates the two lots.
So that yellow, or that grayed out
Yeah.
spot is not where the actual road is?
So this gray down here is not the actual.
So basically, when you come, Henglow comes up and then tees off at her gate,
Oh, got it.
and then it takes a sharp left and goes back up the hill, and she
Right here.
tees the property.
So Henglow comes up and takes a sharp left.
So this one does have access to road. Okay.
Yes.
It's pretty cut and dried then, so Mr. Chairman, I would move that we deny the appeal of BB 2419 and uphold the assessor value at 163,750.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Good job on your comps. I don't have access to the MLS anymore, I can't shoot. Dang, should have kept that license for a reason, I guess.
Never know, you might have to go back in business.
Nope. Never selling real estate again. One of the things I won't do. Yeah. Bar hop somewhere.
You could always clean
Okay,
houses.
so the next appeal is BB 2420.
All right, this is property RP 00099002006C. Grand Barton subdivision number 2, lot 6. So this property is located adjacent to 528 Anglo Drive in Cascade. It consists of 0.7898 good land grade acres. Parcel also includes a 928 square foot, 1975 fair grade, poor condition dwelling. The parcel was split as of January 1st, 2024. This is the first year of the new values. The parent parcel was RP 00099002006B and consisted of 2.058 good land grade acres prior to the split. So for 2024, we have her at $206,146 for the land and $101,486 for improvements, for a total of $306,748. The appellant is only appealing the land values. And she did send comparables, but they are also from Hilltop and Crown Point areas, which do not reflect similar neighborhoods. So in my opinion, 24 assessed values for the subject property is accurate and fair. And I would ask that the board sustain the 24 assessed value of $306,748.
So you did your own comparables.
I just did the land.
Question on this one, on this map, you showed us here, between S2 and S3, there's another chunk of ground. Is that owned by her, or is this just along the lines of them?
S2 is hers as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Between, a little sliver doesn't show.
Yeah, I don't know what that sliver shows there for, because it's not shown on this map.
I'm not sure what you're,
So
this picture here?
they printed, there's like
oh,
a little sliver.
I
there.
see that.
Sliver in between S2.
Oh, that line is your township range section.
Oh.
So if you follow it, it's a square. So that shows you where the.
It's just a marker, but she owns all three of that, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any questions or comments?
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we deny application BB 2420. Total price of 306,748 as assessed value.
I'll second that.
Who did second all, oh, excuse me, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Good job, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, now we wait. Wonder if does Justine have Moyer ready, do you know? I'll find out. 'Cause that's on tomorrow. I will call and ask. The more we can get done now, the better.
So all we got is Pilgrim Cove left for today?
Pilgrim Grove
And Pepin Harris.
yeah.
We're gonna check and see if the appraisers are done with some of the other ones that we had scheduled for tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Okay,
Were you able to get a hold of them?
So you're talking JW 2424 on down.
Yes.
Great. So we will take another 10, 15-minute break and work on some more on the bottom of the list.
Mr. Chairman, we're back on.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're going to continue on with our appraisal appeals. The next one up is JW 2424. Christine, come on up. Hopefully you have the paperwork.
Not as fancy.
Not as fancy.
Not as fancy.
It's okay.
Okay. 2424.
Oh, Zillow,
Have an extra copy?
what they're using.
Mitchell Moyer, Peter and
Oh, gotcha.
Michelle. Peter and Michelle, not Mitchell.
Well, this never hurts to ask. So I'll turn it over to you.
All right, so this property is located on Dragonfly Loop in McCall, which is over in the Spring Mountain Ranch area. It's a home built in 2017, average plus, square foot 2,082. Value is $904,493. Price per square foot is $434. I got some comps around right in their neighborhood, very close. The grade is about a grade higher. Square footage is, just a little bit more, but they're coming in at, or sold for 1.0, 1.6, 1.1. So their square footage is about 485, 495. I feel like we're where we should be, square footage wise and price wise.
Are we a little low?
Well,
I
it's a
mean, they
square
couldn't
foot.
rebuild it at 434 a square foot. There's no way.
The comps that she used was a good grade, a good plus, and a good plus, and the subject is an average plus.
Oh, okay.
So
That's why.
that's why.
Those were the only sales. And Talent offered only current listings. No other comps. The Zillow estimate is $715,000, which is what I'm assuming they want. I think that our value of $904,000 should is right where we need to be.
I agree.
Zillow.
So are the prices coming down? There are two properties that are listed for sale, haven't sold yet, much lower than this, but those will reflect in next year.
Yeah,
Right.
next year's, and those are far over in Lit Creek. Those aren't Spring Mountain that she offered.
Got it.
Those aren't.
Okay.
If you just notice on our map there, all those green spots are sales that happen.
You'll see bare land sales.
Just, right there within one block of the place.
Got
A lot of it's bare land, but it's right, things are selling in that area. So she could have probably found closer, even if we span down. That whole area is just trickled with green.
It's a great location. You can't beat the location
Yeah.
for proximity to everything, so.
So what are your home values? I'm not talking about the dirt, I'm talking about the home values. Are they comparable to what we're seeing?
The assessed values that we have on things that have sold, or
Yeah, it's things that have sold that are, and I guess you can't break that apart though.
So these are the comps that have sold,
Yeah,
and if you look at them, that was what I was questioning. This is an average plus grade, and the others are good or good plus.
mm-hmm.
So they come in different levels.
Yeah.
what's interesting
So
to
these
me on
are
this one, it
sales
says
in that
they're
area.
Yeah, it's quite a different variety of prices.
And they didn't report their sale when they said they bought it for six something. They didn't
675.
report it, so we don't know.
Fixer upper.
Brand new, was
Right?
yeah, it's a fixer upper.
But TKO, I'm not familiar with that builder, but.
Hey, any more questions? What's your pleasure?
Chairman, I would move that we deny. Oh, where's the number?
JW 2424.
JW 2424 and uphold the assessor's value at $904,493.
I'll second that.
Moved and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Good job, Justine.
You can rebuild for about 500. You know,
That's Jacob.
500 is about an average.
Springs,
I heard him. I was at
2409.
That's the one up on
Mhm.
Battle Cross.
Okay, before we start, Jennifer, did I swear you in this morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, want to make sure we got that done.
It's went
So
up
the
that
next
much.
one is
Oh my goodness.
JB 2409. Brings 2 apartments.
Jen's working on commercial stuff now. She
Amazing.
Really?
just shove it at him.
Just throw it at me, yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
Tried to hop in right before your lunchtime, so you guys will hopefully be nice to me.
We are always nice.
We're hangry.
Sometimes we're nicer.
Erica Zappa. So is this the owner of the whole Springs apartment complex, is that right?
I believe this is a representative for, I'm sorry.
And did you talk to them about the housing exemption they could get if they would put that 90-day rider in their rental agreements? I mean, they should be able to get a full exemption on these if they would just put that 90-day rental agreement in, because they have a good mix.
I unfortunately haven't. I had received a message from her, Erica Zappa, and I've been trying to reach her and return her phone calls, emailed her, had any response. So, good to know. Where, so.
They put in there's a statement that if they were to allow the tenant to remain in the property, should there be an emergency situation for 90 days? I think that's the-
Catastrophic event,
Yeah.
I believe.
And they
is-
have certain parameters around that even. I mean, it's not just somebody saying, I've had a catastrophic event, you have to prove it.
Right, so
Then
that
they
would,
should be able to get full.
For the Springs and McCall.
Yes. I mean, they have the 30% units, I think, and the 60%. I think there's a mix of those unit mixes.
you might want to just suggest to her when you are able to get a hold of her, that she might want to read 63-602GG and see if they qualify, but they would have to have the catastrophic event in their lease. We can go over that later.
It helps them in that they don't have to raise prices.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
So we are currently valuing them as a section 42 property, where every year they're required to file their financial information by April 15th for that year. And then what we do is we weigh the 3 approaches to value, heavily relying on the income approach, because they are income-based. So when she reached out, I only received a message from her, and I discovered a discrepancy that needed to be corrected. The correction resulted in amending the value of $2,144,111 to $1,747,645. I returned Ms. Zappa's call and left a voicemail stating that I was sending an amended notice. But as of today, I have not.
You're within 40,000 of what she thought it should be. Apparently she hasn't got the message that you dropped it.
And the information that she supplied in the appeal packet was financial information from 21 and 22. So I believe that's the main cause of our discrepancy. I also don't believe she considered our cost approach. So,
It's interesting. 22 is 1.7, 23 is 1.6, and 24 is 1.7 again.
I believe it also relies heavily on the cap rate. Last year was 8%, this year was 7.9. And we get the cap rate from the state tax commission. So that fluctuates the overall value quite a bit. This year, they also had a higher operating income.
Was it quite a bit more than last year? You remember? And then operating income, did it go up quite a bit?
Not much.
That tells me that they're all fully rented.
Attached, I have the vacancy, the rent roll. I apologize, I don't.
Sounds like some year in the
They
movie.
normally always are full. It's very rare they have a vacancy.
The average vacancy rate is 77% for 23.
Average vacancy rate,
So that means a 23%.
23% vacancy rate.
Vacant.
Pardon me, 0.77%.
Oh,
Okay, I was gonna say, they
Less than
don't have
1%.
a,
Yeah, that's stupid.
okay, they don't have that high of a vacancy, I'm sure. Yeah, I would love to help any of our nonprofits that, you know, can not have to pay taxes on these projects to keep the rents down.
Well, they're already being
Yeah, right
valued
now.
as a section 42, so I believe that helps them as well.
And I just don't think they've got the new value. Well, they got it from Jennifer, but they don't recognize it. And maybe it happened after they sent in the appeal. But I like the numbers of what you've come up with, so I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion. We approve the final value. We're not denying this one, correct?
She already sent an amended notice.
Is this a denial?
So you would deny the appellant's appeal and accept the assessor's amended value.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Give me a motion and a second to deny the appeal and accept the amended valuation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Just to follow up, the net operating income from 22 to 23 increased by about 8,000.
So Sue, which one do I want to mark? Your final value approved or protest denied, no value change?
Since we already sent them an amended notice, you would deny this appeal from the appellant.
Okay.
And they've already been given a new assessment
Okay.
for new amounts.
We vote on that, Doug?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, so the Lake Street Plaza ones are not ready to go just yet. However, JB 2414, George and Susan Doris, it's a hangar appeal. Jen has ready for
Okay.
you.
So then our next one is JB 2414.
Putting these
She doesn't-
together, so
she just-
hopefully there's no
They're
typos.
still warm?
Is there a problem?
Oh, yeah, it's an LRC, 605
Oh, thank you.
4480.
It's the airport hangar.
Okay, Jen, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, this is appeal JB 2414. The subject property is a 3,960 square foot hangar that was built in 2020. I listed the values for the past 3 years. Mr. Doris offered 2 comparable sales. The first comp, Mr. Doris provided us with a figure of 400,000. This sale was not reported to our office.
I spoke with Mr. McNamara, the owner of the property, to verify the sale. Mr. McNamara assured me that the reported amount was inaccurate. He stated that the sale was made under duress and does not want to disclose his purchase information. The second comp sold on 4/12/2022 for $230,000. The sale had not been disclosed to our office and has not been verified as a qualified sale.
So his is 4,000 square feet, that was 5,400, that was 27.
Yes, Jennifer, my question is if the first one sold under duress,
So,
that would still affect the square footage value, wouldn't it? I don't know how to look at that.
So we're looking for arm's length transactions, so a willing seller and a willing buyer.
Okay, okay.
If there was any kind of duress involved, it would not be what we consider a arm's length transaction.
I mean, like it got repossessed or something?
Well, it could be a death in the
They would
family.
have
or
to
asset.
prove that too. You can't just say I sold it under duress. What is the
Yeah,
situation surrounding that?
He did not report his sale. It was a non-disclosure state, but the appellant provided sales information, which he also stated that the amount that Mr. Doris used was inaccurate as well.
Well, looking at the, so we don't know what that amount is.
So Jen, did you end up then negotiating with him? Because the original tax notice that went out was 575,000 or something like that. And
Yes.
we're coming down to the 463. So this is an amended value.
It is.
Okay.
What occurred with the hangars, they went up quite substantially this year. I'm not sure if you've heard from any owners at the Cascade Airport. But we had created their own neighborhood because they're valuing completely different than Cascade Commercial. When I was going through all of the hangars, there was a discrepancy. Some of the hangars were being assessed with power and some were not. So I removed all of the power from all of the hangars to get everybody on an even keel this year. It resulted in about a negative 15% adjustment for folks that were being assessed power. So that's what happened.
and don't they all have power?
They do, but it was a discrepancy on our behalf. A portion of them were not being assessed with power. So there was an inequality amongst the hangars.
They already got a break.
Yeah. So to be fair and equitable, she went through and removed the power off of all of them and sent an amended notice so that everybody was being treated the same. And then she'll correct everything for 2025.
Is this one of the older hangars?
This is a new, there is a location map
Oh,
on the third page in. Built in 2020.
The new three ones.
Yeah, those
That's
are-
it.
oh, one of the new ones.
Yeah,
those are
that
the
middle
new
one
ones
right there.
Okay.
So I struggled with comparable sales because all of our sales are smaller size, older sales. They also are not standalone structures, they share walls among each other.
Is that what this one is? It says 2,740 square feet, it sold for 230? Is that one that was a shared?
We don't know if that's the price.
It's not we have not verified that sale. On the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, third page in, there's a grid. I did perform the sales comparison approach, the sales that we have. And I've adjusted for depreciation, square footage, and the exterior wall. And then I weighted three sales that I felt most comparable. 45 with that first sale, even though we don't know if it qualifies. Comparable to my weighted at 10% because the adjustment percentage of 300% is quite a bit substantial to get it when we're trying to compare apples to apples.
Right.
So considering the three sales that we have, I came up with a weighted value of $525,820. Back to the third page, I performed the cost approach. These numbers are based off of actually the building permit that he applied for in 2019. He estimated the project to be $325,000. I've adjusted with inflation, building costs, and also our location modifier, minus depreciation. The cost approach resulted in $422,700. So what I'm proposing is to weight the sales comparison and the cost approaches because we don't have the perfect sale in this case. So
Makes sense to me.
So you jumped, well, we did 300, 300, and then 24, went to 463, which is a pretty substantial jump.
and that's another, sorry, on this big one. The line that is highlighted in yellow, that is our 23 assessment versus sales ratios. We're required by the state to be within 10% of market value. And you can see compared to our sales, 40%, 39%, 35%. We averaged 40% in 2023 compared to our sales. The after ratio is highlighted, it's the green line, and we had an overall average of 83%. So we're
still low.
We're still not hitting that
Yeah, you're-
90%.
Probably 10% lower.
It's unfortunate with commercial property. Sorry?
Jennifer, did all the rest of the hangers go up too? And this is the only appeal we've got is this one.
So far.
And that ends tonight.
No, it
No, it's
ended
done.
Monday night. However, anything that comes in the mail, which we received 3 more appeals when I went downstairs. And so I believe all 3 of them will be non-appearances. And hopefully our staff will have time to get the appeals ready either by tomorrow or Friday. But the deadline has come and gone. It was Monday at 5 p.m. But we do accept postmarked. Bills in the mail.
So you're approving your assessment value is the 463, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You know, the new ones that just got built, the storage, the brown ones, have you guys valued those yet?
Those will go on the occupancy roll.
Oh, they're not on yet, that's right, because they just finished.
Yep.
Have you heard any sales?
I know that they're listed for around $299. But I believe they need to get final plat from this before they can sell the units officially. I believe.
They're listing for $299.
I mean, quite a bit smaller than
They're
this.
half the size.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think this is pretty fair.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we deny protest JB 2414 and uphold the assessor value at 463, 435.
Second.
Move to second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Good job, Jen.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks for,
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna break now for lunch.
Yep.
And we'll see everybody back here at 1 o'clock.